Hello everyone. I welcome you all in today's lecture. Today we will be starting with the elective English syllabus of class 12th. The elective syllabus is prescribed from the NCERT textbook Kaleidoscope. This book has been divided into 4 sections, which are short stories, poetry, non-fiction and drama. I will be taking up teaching of the poetry section, which comprises of 8 poems written by English and Indian writers. These writers are among the most famous names that we know today. So we will be reading poems by John Donne, John Milton, William Blake, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, Emily Dickinson, W.B. Yeats, A.K. Ramanujan and Kamala Das. Before we begin with the first poem and its discussion, it is advisable for us to have a certain basic idea of what is poetry. When someone asks this question, what is poetry? What comes to your mind? I'm sure you all must be having some or the other idea of poetry, since we all have read or heard or listened or sung poetry throughout our childhood and till now. We all have had read poems by famous writers in any language which we have studied till now. So poetry is a very diverse topic. It is very diverse and it ranges from nursery rhymes right to the epics. So the nursery rhymes that we have sung as little children in schools, like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, Baba Black Sheep, and Johnny Johnny Yes Papa. All these were nursery rhymes and these were poems. These were very simple poems and we used to sing them. Okay, so this was the simplest form of poetry that we had encountered. But all poetry is not so simple, and there is great richness and great diversity in poetry. This is perhaps the most common poem that I just read out to you, the most common poems, and there are many more, of course. So the basic idea behind poetry is there in our minds, but it is not really so easy to explain it in words. Okay, so I'm sure you all will agree with this, that it is not easy to explain poetry in a certain definition or in certain words, but obviously it has been attempted since a long time. Different kinds of writers throughout the world, since a long period of time, they have tried to define poetry. They have tried to define its qualities and the basic themes that we write in poetry, but there has not been any specific definition which can define poetry in a few lines. Okay, so critics, poets, thinkers and people of literature in general have tried this, and since it is not possible for us to consider each view of what is poetry, so we will limit our discussion and this of this class to a basic definition of poetry, which has been given by the Merriam-Webster dictionary. The writers of the Merriam-Webster dictionary have defined poetry as a writing that formulates a concentrated imaginative awareness of experience in language chosen and arranged to create a specific emotional response through meaning, sound, and rhythm. I repeat, poetry is a writing that formulates a concentrated imaginative awareness of experience in language chosen and arranged to create a specific emotional response through meaning, sound, and rhythm. So this definition, you see, has incorporated at least the major characteristics of poetry, like it is concentrated imaginative awareness. Of course, when someone writes poetry, he has certain a certain concentration of ideas in his mind, and imagination is of course there in poetry. Although a poem may be written upon the ordinary subjects, everyday themes, but still it has some amount of imagination, some amount of richness in thought. Okay, so this is an important aspect of poetry. And another aspect of poetry that this definition highlights is that it talks about experience. Of course, poetry is about our life experiences. Okay, and the experiences vary from person to person, from country to country. Okay, and it is also in a specific language, it is in a chosen language. Like we write poetry in the language we are most comfortable with, or the language in which we can express ourselves the most. Okay, so in a language chosen and arranged. So this arrangement is also another important factor of poetry. Like all poetry you see, it is arranged in some form or the other, and this arrangement is what makes poetry. Okay, so if words are not arranged, if they are spoken in just the ordinary manner like everyday speech, then it is not poetry. Okay, so poetry has the specific quality of arrangement. Then it creates a specific emotional response. So poetry is certainly written to arouse certain emotions, to arouse certain responses towards the words that have been written, towards the theme that has been taken up in that specific in any specific poem that we read. Okay, so obviously it has this specific emotional appeal, and all this is done through meaning, sound, and rhythm. So how are all these things brought about, this response and this awareness of the experience? How is it all done? It is all done through the meaning that is evoked, through the words that have been used in the poetry. And you see that we don't put just any words in poetry. We specifically choose, a writer, a poet chooses the words out of so many words of in his vocabulary, and then he writes a specific poem. So obviously he has chosen this word because of some specific meaning that it has. And the sound of course, the words are also chosen in such a manner that they have a certain sonic appeal, that is, they have a specific sound and they have a specific tone which suits the poem and the theme that is being written about. Okay, and also rhythm you see is important, the rhyme is important in poetry. So this definition given by Merriam-Webster dictionary has, you can say, a basic idea of what is poetry. So we see that poetry is not the general everyday conversation and the prose that we often read in novels, in newspapers, in other forms of literature. Poetry is something different. Okay, so after having some basic idea of poetry, let us remember some important poets that you might have read. So I'm sure you must be remembering some or the other poets that you have read till now in any language that you have read. Maybe in Hindi, maybe in Urdu, maybe in English, or maybe in your regional languages. Okay, so I just request you, or I wish that you write down your favorite author or your favorite poet and some favorite lines of your poetry in the comment section, so that I know the kind of poetry that you have read till now. Okay, so, we all have heard about important poets and world famous poets in English, like William Shakespeare, William Wordsworth, John Milton, Robert Frost, John Keats, Percy Bysshe Shelley, and so many more names. Then we have read or heard about many Hindi poets like Harivansh Rai Bachchan, Mahadevi Verma, Subhadra Kumari Chauhan, Ramdhari Singh Dinkar, Maithili Sharan Gupt. So these were the Hindi poets. Then similarly, we have also heard about Urdu poets like Mir, Mirza Ghalib, Amir Khusro, Allama Iqbal, Faiz Ahmad Faiz, etc. So this was a short list of the important poets, of the world famous poets. Since this is an English class and we are talking about English poetry, so we will be limiting our discussion to English poetry and English poets. Well, in our syllabus, we the first poem that we are going to read, that has been written by the English writer, the English poet, that is John Donne. John Donne was a major exponent and a major poet among the metaphysical school of poets. Now you see that generally we have these schools of poetry and this group of poets, and they have been given a specific name. Like here we have this metaphysical school of poets. And why have they been grouped? They have been grouped because they have certain similar qualities in the kind of poetry that they write, in the kind of themes that they talk about, in the kind of manner in which they write poetry. So, or in the kind or the time span in which they are present. So based on these aspects, there have been different schools of poetry throughout the world. Okay, in India we have the Progressive Writers Association. We have the many writer associations. We have avant-garde writers we have in England. Then, and similarly, we have this metaphysical school of poetry, which was a 17th century school of poets. And this is a very diverse topic. It is the metaphysical school of poetry is quite diverse, and it is not really possible for us to take it in detail in this class, in this lecture. But just for your information, basic information, the metaphysical school of poets were 17th century poets. Okay, so they were in the writers of 17th century, and their works were marked by philosophical exploration. So they talked about philosophical ideas, philosophy, and they had colloquial diction in their writing. Now, what is colloquial diction? Colloquial diction is the simple vocabulary, simple way of speaking. Okay, so generally they did not write the kind of poetry that was generally written in those times. Generally, you see, in those times poetry was written in very heightened language, with a heightened structure, with much ornamentation and different kinds of figures of speech. But these writers, they had this quality that they wrote poetry in as simple as simple a manner as possible. Okay, so it was not very much complex in when you would read it. It would be complex in ideas, but it would not be complex in the words that would be used. Okay, so normal words would be used, not very sophisticated vocabulary was used in their poetry. And then another important quality was ingenious conceit. Now, what is conceit? Conceit is a logically complex and unconventional or a surprising comparison. Like comparing two different things, very different things, which the reader has not even thought of. So this was always an important trait of these writers. And when we read this poem, Lecture Upon the Shadow, we will realize that this trait really existed in their writings. Okay, so their poetry also comprises of irony. Now, what is irony? Irony is a literary device. It is used in poetry, or it is used in other forms of literature, and it basically means the difference between what is said and what is meant. Like, you say something, but you don't mean that. Okay, and you mean something else. So the meaning is something deeper and something more complex than the literal words. Okay, so this is irony. And they also had a lot of wit in their writings. Wit is where a lot of intellectual intelligence, intellectuality. Okay, then they had puns. What is pun? Pun are double meaning words. Like they can mean either ways. Okay, Then they also had these metrically flexible lines, so their poetry was not limited to metrics and rhymes, and they did not focus on arrangement of words in a specific manner that was usually done by poets at that time. What they did was simply write flexible poetry, okay, and they did not bother much about all these rules and regulations of writing poetry. So you see that generally we see that these writers wrote poetry which was something very different from what was being conventionally written in those times. So they had attracted many readers they at that time, but eventually their poetry was not did not receive the right amount of what we can say, the right amount of importance that it deserved, okay. But eventually when critics started reading the literatures of those times, they realized that these were very important poets, and so they developed this metaphysical school of poetry later on, and they grouped all these writers who wrote this kind of poetry, okay. So you see that you now have a basic idea of what was metaphysical school of poetry. So John Donne was a very important writer of this school of poetry, which means that he had all the qualities which make up the poetry of these writers. Okay, so another striking quality of the metaphysical school of poets was the kind of themes that they wrote about. Now, the themes that they wrote about were love, religion, and morality. You will say that it is very common. Every writer writes about all these themes, but what was different was that they did not write about the ordinary kind of love or the ordinary idea of religion or morality, okay. So they had certain striking comparisons, they had extraordinary take and extraordinary thought processes which used to shock the readers, which used to surprise the readers, okay, बिकॉज इट वॉज नॉट थॉट ऑफ बिफोर. ऐसा पहले कभी किसी ने लिखा नहीं था जैसा उन लोगों ने लिखा, ओके. सो ड्यू टू दीज क्वालिटीज, टेकिंग अप summing up all these qualities, these writers were completely different from the general poetry that was being done at that time, and they have achieved a great amount of fame now, and they have been firmly established in English literature. So this was all about the metaphysical school of poets. The other poets in this school were George Herbert, Andrew Marvell, Abraham Cowley, Richard Crashaw. So these were the poets. They wrote upon secular themes, and they also wrote upon religious themes, upon morality and many other things. So if you take up literature in the future class in further studies, then you will read about all these poets at some point of time, okay. So we are basically concerned in our lecture, in our syllabus, with John Donne, who was the one of the most influential of metaphysical poets, and his poem Lecture upon the Shadow. So I hope you have now a basic idea of what is poetry, about the metaphysical school of poets, and about John Donne. But I request you to do your own research about these different topics, and prepare yourself for the next lecture, because in that case you will understand whatever I say in a better manner, okay. So I hope you will read and do your bit of research. There is ample amount of information on the internet, but please read please gain your information or read about these topics from reliable websites, and don't read from public websites which don't give reliable information, okay. So you can take your information from Britannica and other research articles that are given on the internet. So I hope that you will read about all this and come prepared in the next lecture. And in the next lecture, we will discuss about John Donne, and we will start with the poem that is Lecture upon the Shadow. So with this, I take your leave. See you in the next lecture. Thank you.